So far, the whole way out of the Bay of Panama and towards the Galapagos has been to windward, so it's hard to make any predictions of how long it'll take me to pass those islands, but I'm making pretty good speed and a decent heading so far, so pretty happy about that. Right now, there's Panama, here's the Galapagos. This is sort of my ideal line. I was making this earlier, but I had to bear off a little bit because I was pinching up too much, so now I'm a little bit south of where I want to be, but it's still okay. As long as I'm more than 50 miles off the coast of South America, I'm happy. And right now with this heading, I'll be about 100 miles off, which is still fine. And according to the forecast, once I get into this zone, the wind starts to shift around anyway. So I'll have a really nice angle once I get about here, which is another probably 400 miles. It's midnight on my third night out, and it's just the most beautiful night that I've had yet. It's been a crazy, kind of a shitty day today. I was close hauled and big choppy waves that were breaking over the bow, and the boat is just slamming around. Everything is breaking loose. And when I went to go put a second reef in the main, my topping lift broke. And since the halyard was undone, the boom fell onto the lifelines, and I lashed it quickly onto the cleat, had quite a time catching the topping lift because it was just taken by the wind, and then managed to reattach it to the end of the boom. So it should definitely stay for the rest of the trip. Tonight there is a giant ring around the moon. It's really beautiful and just so peaceful and still. Now that I'm away from the major shipping lanes and the weather isn't so squally, I'm doing 45-minute naps, and it's usually what I do once I get into a nice little pattern of good weather, no traffic, and far enough offshore that I feel happy. So today is gorgeous. I got really good sleep last night. The moon was beautiful. I'm on 40-minute naps. And so today I figured it was time to do a little bit of hot breakfast because it's calmed down enough that I feel like cooking again. So these cheeses are crazy. They never go bad, even when you don't refrigerate them. And then I have all of my eggs. And I'm going to toast these on one side, flip them, put the egg, flip them again, put the cheese. I'm brushing my hair. I haven't brushed it in 5 days since before I left for this trip, and it's seen some shit, man. But maybe that'll also be a project for today. First you put a little glory hole in the bread, and then you take your egg and you crack it into the glory hole. A little bit because the boat is rocking, but normally if you do this in a house pan, they stay really happily on the bread if you make the glory hole big enough. And then you let it cook on one side and then flip it. Add some oregano, whatever you want, treat yourself. And there you go. Easy, easy, easy. Hot breakfast. Nice for us. It's a nice flat day today, and it's not raining even though it's gray, chilling in the cockpit. Also there's a lot of ship traffic, so I want to keep an eye on it. And it's a great time to record my position in my logbook, which I do twice a day, trying to do it 12 hours apart. Picked up and the clouds have finally left. Day 5. 5 days of shitty clouds. It is still nasty headwinds. I'm still heading due south and I want to be heading southwest, but there's a promised wind shift later today to the south, so I'm going to keep going on this course and see what happens. This is my course, what I've done so far, and what I'm doing. You'll see in a second. So yeah, it's just been headwinds all the way out of the Bay of Panama. Now I'm here. This is the border of Colombia and Ecuador. I don't want to get too close to Colombia because of fishermen, and I've heard about robberies at sea happening. This is where I want to be going. That's the Galapagos. Waiting for the wind shift. The further south you get, the better the wind gets, and the more likely it is to be the right tack to get over here. So south. The wind's starting to pick up, which is good because I have some current against me, and it's allowing me to head a little bit more west of south. So if I can keep on this course, I'd be pretty happy. Then I can tack out about here and hopefully get the wind shift that I want to get to the Galapagos. I'm cooking. It's really tricky when the boat's heeled over this far. You can see how far it's heeling by what my clothes are doing and by what the stove is doing. So I'm kind of braced in the galley. The water isn't draining because it's too far over to the side even. I'm making a quinoa with onions and tomatoes. I made hummus yesterday and I cooked the quinoa in the water. It's a trick if you don't have a water maker and you're going to be at sea for a long time, is to save all the water from your canned things and cook rice and pasta and quinoa and whatever other things you need to add water to cook in them. So every time I use a canned thing, I always also make quinoa and then add whatever I have to it because it's very versatile. I'm just really stoked that I'm finally sailing again, and this is the first time I've seen blue skies since before I left. Crazy. Called bashing into the waves, and it's not pleasant to be outside. But I have my little cozy bed situation going on here. iPad. This is some of my fruit rations, and then just the general mess of existing. And outside we have blue sky, finally, and it looks really not that rough from down below, but trust me, it is. Nice full sails, still heading due south. Really excited to be able to tack towards the Galapagos one of these days, hopefully soon. But just trying to enjoy being in the moment. I still have a little bit of rainwater that I collected from yesterday in a bucket, so I've been drinking out of that, and I washed my face with it. Very exciting times. This has been probably one of the well, no, that's not true, because when I left the US, that was also a really hard sail. There's a fly. My cozy little blanket fort. The first week of that was pretty rough too, so maybe just leaving a continent is rough. So anyway, I'm still bashing my way due south, desperately hoping for this promised wind shift so that I can head southwest towards the south part of the Galapagos and then into the trades. Still about 650 miles off the G, Galapagos. That's what the cool kids call it on this boat. But really hopeful that eventually I'll be able to tack. The problem is that there's a funky current, so when I go on the other tack, I'm not even heading due west, I'm heading north of west, which is backwards. So I'm just kind of sticking this out, but I've given myself a cutoff point on the map that I don't want to get closer to Ecuador and Colombia than that, and so I'm going to tack no matter what. Even if it's a shitty angle, I can always do some little short tacks down, and hopefully the wind turns and I can start heading where I want to head. I get very frustrated when I'm going in the wrong direction, but at least today I'm sailing, not motoring, and it seems like, so I've had a lot of days where there wasn't a ton of wind, and now it's kind of, cross fingers, knock on wood, supposed to be a little more steady, so at least even if I'm tacking, I'm not motoring. Motoring is the worst. It's really frustrating. I'm either going south or northwest because there's this weird current in here, and I'm trying to go southwest, and I'm getting closer and closer to Ecuador, which I don't want to be, and not any closer towards south of the Galapagos or Marquesas, which is where I'm trying to get to. I've just put 2 reefs in the main because the wind is picking up. I tried tacking just to see what it would look like, but now I'm going northwest, which is terrible, but when I tack again, oh, that's my wake up timer, I'm going due south in this direction, so I have a really shitty angle to the wind. And sunset last night, a big wind started to blow, and I changed to my small head sail, put a reef in the main. It's just starting to clear up, but it's been cloudy for the past 12 hours. It's really nice to have some sun so that sitting in the cockpit is actually enjoyable. Things have mellowed out a lot since I put up the little head sail, and I haven't really lost much speed. A lesson that I learn over and over again is that reducing sail doesn't always reduce speed. So I think I'll probably continue to learn that over the rest of the trip. I haven't had this much wind in a while. I haven't had to use my small head sail in a while. I've just tacked before sunset to be heading due west now, and I forgot how much I hate going to windward. Not so much for the movement, which is uncomfortable, but just because you feel like you're not going anywhere. So anyway, hopefully as I head west, the wind is going to start to veer to the south, and I'll be able to head further south. That's the plan anyway, so we'll see how it works. Thanks for watching this week's video. For those of you who didn't catch it last week, I am in French Polynesia now, uploading these videos on very, very slow remote island Wi-Fi. It's so incredible to be here, and editing back over these videos, I'm appreciating being here even more because I kind of forgot how hard the leg to the Galapagos was because I was upwind for 2 weeks. Spoilers for the next episode. I didn't get the wind shift until after the Galapagos. Thank you for liking this video and subscribing to my channel. That really helps me out. Thank you for your lovely comments. Like I said, very slow and not always there, often not there, island connection, so I am reading your comments and trying to get back to you as quickly as I can, but I'm probably going to be a little slower on the uptake because everything here is so remote. Thank you, Tish, for helping me be my onshore support for getting these videos from me onto YouTube. Thank you so much to all of my patrons who are helping me make this trip possible. If it wasn't for you guys, I would definitely have had to work and or sell parts of my boat off to continue to be doing this trip. So you guys are amazing. If you would like to support me on Patreon, my page is patreon.com/windhippie. And if you want to see photos of French Polynesia and some of my pictures from at sea, you can follow me on Instagram. It's at @boatlizard, and you can kind of get some catch-ups of where I actually am in real life, which is kind of exciting. Thank you for your lovely comments. I love reading them all. You guys are lovely. And super excited to see you in 2 weeks with the rest of my upwind leg to the Galapagos. I'm excited for editing Video Holly into the better wind because sometimes it's painful to watch. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.